The massacre and the awakening, they called it a cleansing. The word echoed in every ruined city, every emergency broadcast, every scorched field where human bones crumbled to ash. The Thalrexians didn't just attack Earth, they tried to erase it. But for every massacre, there's a reckoning. And this time, humanity's answer would shake the galaxy. His name was Grant Mercer, former Marine, last survivor of Fort Dagger Line. 2 days ago, he had crawled out of the ruins, his body battered, one eye swollen shut, clothes stinking of blood and smoke. The base had been a fortress, filled with the best of Earth's defenders, and he'd seen it reduced to slag and memory in one screaming, white-hot hour. Grant moved through the hollowed-out command center like a ghost, the world in shades of gray and black. He didn't think about the pain. He didn't allow himself to wonder if he would survive another day. Rage burned too bright for that, a cold, unending fire. All he could see was the face of Captain Ridge shot in the back while covering a line of evacuees. There was no time for funerals, not even for anger. The Thalrexians hadn't occupied. They'd massacred and moved on, leaving only silence and the smell of melted steel. Some said the resistance was forming in the Antarctic ice faults, where the old governments had hidden their black projects. Others whispered of rebel cells rising from the bones of old cities, Sanfir, Leningrad, Kinshasa. But Grant didn't wait for rumors. He was the consequence. He crossed a kill zone, his modified railgun slung low, eyes scanning the patrols. Drones floated in slow, lazy circles, confident, unchallenged. But even machines made mistakes. Grant waited, timed their rotation, and with a single MPAT, fried the lead drone's core. Its companion didn't even register the loss before. Grant put it down with a quiet practice shot. Within the cleared zone, he found a relay beacon still blinking. He plugged in a salvaged uplink and prayed. Static, then a crackle, and finally a voice, a real human voice. Anyone receiving this transmission, Kilo 7, counterinsurgency protocol. Grant, if you're alive, it's time. Grant listened to the silence that followed, then killed the relay. The cold wind through ruined steel was the only reply. He didn't smile, didn't hope. Instead, he memorized the frequency, the coordinates, the ragged edge in that voice. Earth was finished, begging for mercy. From now on, they fought. He traveled by night, using the back alleys and bombed-out ruins of the city. The Thalrexians didn't expect survivors, let alone counterattacks. But that was their first mistake. Their second was letting Grant Mercer. Live dot when Grant reached the train tunnels outside Sector 4. He paused. A low hum vibrated the ground. Red laser dots flickered across his chest. Drop it, soldier. A voice barked from the darkness. Grant didn't move. Name's Grant Mercer. Major, 3rd Battalion. Fort Dagger Line. Call sign. Steel Ghost. If you're Kilo 7, you know that name. A pause. Then another voice, older. Heavier. Steel Ghost is dead. Grant shrugged. Then your intel's as bad as your invasion plans? The lasers vanished. Men and women emerged, armed, armored, faces grim. At their center stood a giant of a man, beard tangled, armor patched with mismatched plates. He picked up a bloody dog tag Grant tossed at his feet. The last remnant of Sergeant Darnell. You're alive, the big man said. Welcome to the goddamn war. The gathering of Wolf Kilo 7's base was a tomb of concrete and steel hidden deep beneath the city. Survivors bustled patching wounds, assembling weapons, eyes hollowed by loss and sleepless rage. No government. No ranks, just warriors and the broken, forging a new kind of resistance. The leader introduced himself as Briggs, no rank. Just Briggs. The others called him the old dog. The team, Cutter, a demolitionist with a madman's grin. Knox, a sniper whose silence was louder than gunfire. Wire, a young hacker, barely more than a kid, fingers stained with machine oil. Briggs unrolled. A dirty map across a rusted table. Sanfir was nuked last week. But before the blast, we smuggled out a Thalrexian transcode beacon. We've been hacking it. It got us a message harvest wave coming, not extermination. Collection. Grants. Fist clenched. Slavery? Worse, Wire said. Bioconversion. They turn humans into soldiers. Living weapons. This isn't just conquest. It's erasure. Their plan. Attack a Thaurexian uplink tower outside Houston. Disrupt the Harvest Command. Suicide, maybe? But that didn't matter anymore. I'm in, Grant said. No hesitation. Briggs grinned like a wolf. They moved out before sunrise. In a beast of a truck called the Reaper military frame, alien armor welded onto old steel. The world outside was dust and ruin. It kept off the main roads, slipping through ghost neighborhoods. Always watching the sky dot at noon. A seeker drone 10 feet tall, all blades and eyes, caught them on a side road. Cutter lobbed a fusion grenade, but it only slowed the thing. Grant bailed from the truck, railgun in hand. The drone's blade sliced his side. But he didn't stop 3 shots to the processor core and it dropped, screeching, sparks spraying. Knox dragged Grant back aboard, muttering, "You're insane." Grant just grinned through the pain got by. Dusk, they reached the uplink site, an obsidian spire, ringed by alien walkers and a squad of bioconverted humans. These things had human faces stretched over mechanical bones, eyes dead and mouths twitching. Grant stared at the tower, heart cold. "No mercy," he muttered. Briggs nodded. "No surrender." They moved like ghosts, silent, surgical. Cutter slipped charges onto the west wall. Knox found high ground. Grant went straight into the fire, railgun screaming. 2 bio-soldiers dropped. He rolled for cover as a walker's cannons tore up. The street dot he ducked under its legs, planted an amp, and watched it shudder, collapse, and fry 3 more enemies. Briggs hit the other walker with a rocket. Alien blood and metal rained down. The world screamed, then went silent dot inside the tower. Wire plugged in his spike. "It's transmitting. I can loop their data, send a recall order." "Do it," Grant shouted, holding the door as the tower shook with approaching enemies. Alarms blared. Wire's hands flew over the controls. "It's working." They think, "Earth's already gone. They're calling the harvest back." A tremor shook the ground. The team scrambled, diving into the Reaper just as the tower exploded behind them. Flames licking the night sky, Grant stared at the ruins in the rear view. Hand pressed to his bleeding side. He smiled for the first time since the massacre. Earth had just struck back. Turning the knife, the Reaper tore across the night, every bump a reminder that Earth was broken but unbeaten. They drove toward Denver, where the next outpost had gone. Silent. In the back, Grant pressed a rag to his side. Pain sharp. But the anger sharper dot Denver was a graveyard skyline twisted into alien towers, biometal pulsing with sick light. Alien reconstruction was nothing but mutation. Buildings had veins. Streets seemed to breathe. Wire was glued to a datapad, trying to keep the recall signal active. "It's not going to last," he warned. "They're recalibrating." "Next wave's coming." Cutter broke the silence. "That tower didn't scream like the last one," Briggs snorted. "Guess even the enemy's learning to die quiet." They scouted on foot, weapons ready. What used to be suburbs were now. Maze of horror-melted trees, fused cars, doors to blackness. Grant heard a scream-high human, terrified. He ran, found a girl no older than 16, barefoot and bloodied, being stalked by 2 bio-soldiers. He didn't hesitate, 2 headshots, 1 knife kill. The girl collapsed in his arms, shaking. "You can't stop them?" she whispered. "They're underneath." Briggs and the others arrived. "Another survivor," Cutter muttered. "Good. Was starting to think we'd wasted the drive." Wire knelt beside her. "She's in shock." "We need," the ground rumbled. "Something." Erupt a Thaurexian construct, all jagged limbs and glowing eyes. Cutter charged, but the thing smashed him into a wall. Grant screamed and went straight for it under its arms, explosive planted, 3 shots to the sensors. It collapsed, screeching, but not dead until Knox emptied his rifle into its skull. They buried Cutter in the ruins of an old church. marking his grave with alien metal. Naomi, the girl, told her story, taken for the cradle, escaped when the tower fell. They're building something big under the old stadium. The next wave. Briggs stood. Then that's where we go. Grant looked at Cutter's grave, at Naomi's haunted eyes, then east toward the cradle. Into the cradle they found the entrance at Mile High Stadium, now a spiraling wound of bone and steel. The tunnel down was black, veins of alien flesh pulsing. Underfoot Kilo 7 descended, lights flickering, air thick with rot. Booby traps and biosoldiers waited at every turn. Grant took point, rifle steady. Knox covered the rear. Naomi moved in the middle, pale and silent, eyes never blinking. Wire worked at a console, bypassing alien security. The deeper they went, the stranger it got, walls that moved, echoing voices that weren't quite words. Naomi whispered, "It's alive, all of it." They found the cradle's heart, a factory of nightmares. Human DNA, harvested, fed into machines that built hybrid soldiers. Rows of pods, each with a screaming, dreaming human face at the core. An alien overseer waited Palrexian, all brains and knowledge. It sneered at the team, confident in its power. "You are too late," it taunted. "Earth will be reborn as our vanguard. The resistance will feed the new armies." Grant spat. "You think we'll be slaves? We'll burn this place to the ground first. Wire hack the systems, setting off alarms. I can overload the reactor, but we'll have to. Run. 5 minutes, tops." The overseer lunged, claws flashing, but Knox and Grant brought it down in a hail of bullets and rage. Wire triggered the overload. The cradle began to shake and roar. They ran through collapsing tunnels, past shattering glass and burning flesh. Naomi tripped, but Grant carried her out, heart pounding. World exploding behind them. They emerged into dawn as the cradle collapsed. The sky above Denver was stained with fire. No mercy, no surrender. They watched the cradle burn from a distant ridge, survivors wrapped in blankets. Wounds bandaged, but eyes alight. Wire sent out a global transmission to all surviving resistance cells. Earth fights back. No mercy, no surrender. Across the world, survivors rose up. Ambushes, sabotage, uprisings in every corner. The Thalrexians learned that victory was an illusion when fighting humans who had nothing left to lose. Grant Mercer, the Steel Ghost, became a legend. He led raids from the shadows, broke enemy supply lines, and spread terror among the invaders. Naomi became his shadow, growing from frightened survivor to fierce fighter. Briggs and what was left of Kilo 7 forged new alliances, hacking into alien networks and teaching humanity how to fight as one. Earth had been broken, but not beaten. From the ashes, a new kind of war began, a war not just for survival, but for vengeance. In the quiet before the next battle, Grant looked up at the ruined sky and whispered the new creed. No mercy, no surrender. Not ever, because now, when the galaxy looked at Earth, it saw not a conquered world, but the birthplace of the universe's deadliest resistance.